Is there volume hooked up to the TV through HDMI?
Hmm?
You want to check that volume works?
It should.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
We've had enough technical difficulties.
Yep.
Yep, I hear it. All right, cool.
Alright. I'm going to start recording. Good.
So we're gonna go ahead and start out with the normal stream topics. For those, are you in OneLeaf? I forget. Do you know what OneLeaf is? Okay. It's a nonprofit that Zach and I run where we do open source work. So usually we do a stream every Thursday where we talk about all sorts of things. So I wanted to, what we want to do is just start out by just doing the normal introductions that we do during OneLeaf. So we have just normal introductions. We'll introduce ourselves, and then we'll have a couple announcements for OneLeaf that Zach and I have. So my name is Sabian. I'm a game developer, one of the leads of OneLeaf.
Can they hear me from over here?
That's a great question. You have to speak up.
I think they barely could. Just slowly walk over here so they can see my face too. I'm Zach. I'm also a community manager for OneLeaf. Thank you. All right, carry on.
So for announcements this week, I'm actually going to pull up the Discord for this. Don't mind all the GIFs. So the biggest announcement this week is based off of the stream last week. We set up a core team. Basically what that means is this is like a group of people that we can rely on to either get things done or be a part of the community consistently, whether you're working on active projects, participating in meetings, or writing Medium posts and whatnot. If you have any interest in becoming part of the core team and being more influential in OneLeaf, just give us a message and we'll talk to you about it. We have another announcement. We're going to get to that later. That one's kind of a surprise. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we are 28 minutes ahead of schedule. So the first thing we wanted to talk about, since this is an open source meetup, is kind of talk about how the OneLeaf website open source work has been working for us. So we want to talk about how the collaboration has been working for us, like how we've acquired our team, how we work together, how you can contribute as someone who has no idea what's going on, and then the secret announcement that we'll announce right after. So we want to first hit on how the collaboration is working for us. So the way that it first started out was we just had it started out with just me and Zach developing a backend in Vapor with a Leaf templating front end, and I know that won't be common knowledge to a lot of you, but basically what that means is we had our own backend and our own front end that were not common knowledge, but it was something that we enjoyed working on. And as we got things up and explained the lofty goals that we had for the OneLeaf website, people became interested and they wanted to provide any sort of help that they could. So what we did is we had a poll asking what front-end framework that people wanted to use, because the back end has been ahead of the front end for like 4 months now. So
yeah, quite a long time.
Yeah. So we did a poll to figure out what people would be most interested in working on the front end. React ended up winning the poll, so we chose React. It was a very close second, or very close first. Right afterwards, it was, I think, by 1 vote. Vue was right behind. So anyways, we started out by just making tickets and whatnot, kind of planning out the beginning features, and we started out with just a little wiki that explains just the lofty ideas that we had in the long term, right? So we wanted to have some sort of homepage for people to find us on social media. This was the biggest thing for us is, if we go to Reddit or we go to Twitter or LinkedIn or whatever, we want to be able to have some way to explain to people like what we do, so not just like, oh cool, I'll join this thing, but I don't really have an idea of what all they're comprised of. Afterwards, we want to have a featured page where we could feature projects, blogs, tutorials, videos, all that jazz that people are working on in the community. We want to have a page that where you can see all the members of the core team and of OneLeaf itself. Then we want to have some sort of search page for searching through all of the whatnots. We had a developer docs page that we were thinking about, but we moved that to a GitHub wiki. A post page, which could be blogs, links to a Medium post, videos that they made. Really just allow us to almost be a social media for programming and open source development. After that, you'd have some sort of user information. You'd have a profile and whatnot, and then this could almost act as almost a resume. Recruiters could come in and see what you're interested in, what you've been working on, how you've been helping a nonprofit or a volunteer-based community. So then we have all sorts of other ideas that we're thinking about, like making subdomains, so that way, instead of oneleif.com, it could be like oneleif.sabian.com, and you could have your own portfolio website under the main one, and then you just use our back end and write your own front end, so that way you can get your own experience and have a portfolio without writing a back end. Then we have all sorts of other ideas, and then basically what we came to find is that the scope of this was too much for an open source project. We need to kind of hash out exactly what we want to do. So the next step, once we just started putting some things together, was to get an MVP, or a minimum viable product. So we had to identify, thanks to Fardeen, we had to identify our use cases and then kind of prioritize our work. And this page was updated really recently, last week, and the goal was basically to take what we had been doing, and I'll go ahead and show you guys what we have. Take what we had been doing and reprioritize it so that way we can get the site up as quick as possible without worrying about all the dynamic content. So as you can see, we have just our main homepage, and our goal was to get some sort of description about us and some way to join us, so that way we can feed people through the website rather than just giving them a Discord link that doesn't really tell them anything about the organization. All of the routes work. For example, you can see if I click on About Us, it's still the same page, but it actually has a different route, so all we have to do is update that. We have posts, and these are all templated out right now. Partners for partners, hint, foreshadowing, and then a search bar and a sign up. Sign up, I believe, is there. It's not functional yet, but it's there.
Do you want to touch on what the backend specifically can do? Just
Yeah,
to give them a
yeah.
better
So
idea?
what the backend is set up to do right now is to handle login, or register, login, authentication, and maintaining your sessions throughout moving between different pages. It will handle creating and updating posts, deleting posts, all that jazz. It will handle
Social information?
What's that? Yeah, it'll handle social information, which is basically your account information minus like your username and password. So it'll give you like your biography, your location, like interesting links to like your LinkedIn or whatever. And then after that, it will hold the search API, which allows you to search through all the things that we have, as well as a list of meeting the team and the active projects that we manage. The rest of it will all be static pages that are managed on the front end that won't need to be dealt with on the back end. So once Zach and I kind of had our back end to a MVP of sorts, we had login and authentication working, we had it so we can make posts, and then we realized we kind of need some designs. This is getting kind of messy. We don't really have a good way using the front end that we had to handle having authed and non-auth pages. So if I wanted to visit the home page, I'd somehow need to keep track of like my logged in session, and there wasn't a good way to do that with the implementation that we had. So it was kind of just a natural transition for us to find front-end developers to help us, because that wasn't something that we were terribly well-versed in. So what we did is we I don't want to say advertised, but we made posts on Reddit saying you can join OneLeaf and whatnot. We made posts on Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and whatnot, and we slowly acquired members. We didn't really focus on anyone, but it happened to work out that people saw what we were doing and were interested in it, and just naturally hopped on and were interested in what we were doing, and we found them work. And now we kind of have a core team built up around those people that just happen to have interests in what we were doing.
Yeah, do you want to introduce the people on the core team?
Yeah, so we have, so Zach and I are the back-end developers. I'm the project manager. Susie, Zach's fiance, another community manager, is the lead of the design team, so all the UI and UX. On top of that, the design team consists of Ria, I hope I'm not butchering that name, and Fardeen. And then on the front end, we have Will and Fabrice. And then helping us on the back end, we have Arik, or I believe his full name is Arcadius. Polish names are super cool. Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and just show you kind of what we have for the communication. So we have just a Discord. I'm not going to show you the Discord channel because there's probably like GIFs and whatnot, and it's not terribly professional. But we have a Discord channel that is dedicated specifically to our project that we can communicate in. Then we have we have two repos split between the backend and front end. So just oneleif-ol website is the backend, and oneleif-ol website-react is the front end. And what we did was we made separate projects that are basically boards commonly found in like Jira and Trello, and broke out all of the work that needed to be done from the front end and back end. And we did the same thing for the design team. But since the designers don't use GitHub, they don't need to store their assets there. What's more commonly found in the design world would be Trello. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not a designer. So we moved all the tickets for the designers to the Trello board, and as you can see, we're in the very beginning stages of actually getting like a good design system in place with the team, because so far it's just been Susie and we said, hey, we need this page, and she would make it. So what this led to on the design side was we have a Figma. Don't mind Bob Ross. Is it plus? Yeah. So what this led to was a set of all the pages with all the designs on them, and basically what will happen is whenever these are completed, the designers will let the front end, they'll let me know, I will meet with the front end developers, let them know what's done, I will make tickets, they can go look at these designs, they'll tell them, how many pixels from this object is this object, how large is it, all that jazz. That covers the design side of things. What we've recently established, just like most teams have like a stand-up in the morning, like most professional teams have some sort of stand-up either every morning or afternoon, where basically you come in and you say, this is what I did yesterday, this is what I did, this is what I'm going to do today, and here's where I'm blocked. Since we're an open source organization and we're not paying anybody, we found that it was better to do it once per week, because we don't expect everybody to get things done every day. Everybody has, life. So once a week seems reasonable for us. So the goal is to have a weekly meeting with the designers and a weekly meeting with both the front end and back end developers. So that way we can, I can catch them up on what tickets have been done, and I can catch both the design and development teams up on what each other have been doing. A few things that we've learned along the way. Documentation is super important. If I didn't have, I believe the oneleif website React has the majority of the documentation nowadays. So you can see we have all the project info, the high level stuff, how to get the app started, how to, what we're even trying to do, and then, an extra page for brainstorming and whatnot. And then all the style guides and whatnot. That prevents a lot of, the core team, it prevents them from having to do a lot of rework. They basically say, you didn't put your curly braces in the right spot, go look at the guide, I'm not going to explain it, we have it proposed. If you don't like it, make a proposal and we'll look at it and see if that's what we want to change it to. Since we do have people that are just doing this voluntarily, we do want to make a good use of everybody's time, so the goal is to get as many of these style guides, get as many of the contribution documentation up, so that way as new projects come on and as more members come on, it doesn't, it will scale well with the team that we have. We don't want to give anybody any more work as more people get on, which is something that, as I've noticed, a lot of companies fail to do. They're expecting to have these people be paid to onboard people and train them as they get on, but if they had better documentation, it would be more cost effective. So we're in the midst of not only getting the code styling and whatnot, but getting standards for how you should contribute to Git, how your project should be set up, that type of thing, how you should make your tickets and whatnot. And as that comes to fruition, we'll be able to much more easily scale up.
And do you want to take a step back and kind of going at it from an open source perspective of, we just made a back end, and now, how many stars do we have? We
that's a good point.
Developers that are excited about it, and the thing that shocks me the most is we still have designers, and I've always kind of was with designers that wanted money for a logo or that stuff, so I had no belief that we would get designers and actually have people jumping on to work on it.
Yeah, so that's kind of the weird thing that I've come to find about oneleif, is that we're in a unique situation where if we were to want to do this project for any other reason other than just for an altruistic, we want everybody to learn and work together, people would want money. But since what we're offering is a team and a chance to get experience, a project that is useful for everyone, that is beneficial for everyone, we kind of just expect to work together and have fun with it. And that's something that I really like about the team and culture that we've developed over time. A lot of it wasn't planned. It just kind of came to be as Zach, Susie, and I discussed things, and as the developers brought up issues that we had. None of us have really done leadership or management before, so this has kind of been a work in progress thanks to a lot of feedback that we've gotten. So from an open source perspective, really all we started out with was just this GitHub repository, this one. And as you can see, we got 13 stars, which is pretty cool for something that we've just worked on in our free time. And so really we just we said we want to make this thing. We want to have people be able to have almost a social media built around programming and getting things done daily. That wasn't something that we had seen, so we just kind of hopped in, started working, and as people found out what we were doing, we're were just naturally drawn to join us. Anything else you think would be good to add?
I guess at the point, just touching on little thing of oneleif of like member status, like we really have like new people joining, looking for experience, trying to learn. We have people that can't get an internship or it's difficult, so we kind of try to fulfill that internship or work experience, and then we have other people coming in that actually bring in projects, and this is kind of one of those active projects that we started, so it's a reproducible thing. So if we can get 13 stars of that stuff, anyone can come in, and it could be an organization project or an active project, and you'll get the same amount of effort or the same amount of support.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think you hit another thing is that we take people from all walks of life, whether you're in high school or middle school. We have a couple of those. We have a lot of people that are in a career, don't like it, want to transfer, and that can be daunting because if you already have a degree, you don't want to go back for another couple years and pay that money. So we're kind of a good intermediary for you to get some practice, find out what professional development looks like. What else do we got up here? How to contribute. There we go. So I believe I have documentation set up. 5? Yeah. Yeah, so under the OL website. So I've been debating back and forth with other oneleif members on how to handle getting people onboarded to not only our project but others in the future. And I'm in the midst of this, but my goal is to basically make a separate repository. We already have it out there. It's called OL Docs, or oneleif documentation. And the goal is to basically move everything that can be standardized, everything that is common to any other project, to that repository, and have basically this giant wiki of here's common React style guides, here's common Vapor style guides, here's how a project should be structured, here's how you can contribute to a project in general. That way, you don't go on Google and say, how do I work with Git or how do I work with GitHub? We all have this. We kind of have this central repository of information that you can go to. So if you want to get started, look forward to that OL Docs repository in the future, hopefully coming within the next week. But, there's a lot of documentation to move, so it's going to take me a little bit. Okay, secret announcement time. So, Zach, you want to go up?
I can come up.
Yeah, go on.
So, I don't know if you want to hand it off or do I stand right here?
Go for it.
All right, cool. So for the secret announcement, we've been actively searching for partners for oneleif. We have a partner already, and that's Bread for the Journey. They gave us a grant for being a nonprofit and kind of what we're doing, and that's helped us become an actual nonprofit for our actual legal fees. And so to repay them back, they want us to do website design review and then actually re-implement their website in a more customizable way. They're not technical, so when they need to change something or a board member changes or any kind of information changes about the website, they want to easily change it. And right now they have to mess with whatever framework it was in and kind of redeploy it. And we really want to let them have the customization they want, but also then have the advanced design that we can provide them. So that's going to be the next project that we have. We're working on the oneleif website. Of course, we have other active projects in that anyone can bring in, but the next big active one that we'll be pushing for is our partners. So why? Well, that's a great reason, or a great question. So they donated or gave us a grant. That's one reason. But another reason is there a local, for us, that's kind of personal, but they're an actual nonprofit that supports other nonprofits. So they have a very good track record of nonprofits that they support. So once we help them, then we've helped all those nonprofits and actually helped future nonprofits to find them. After that, we have the option to help any of the nonprofits connected to Bread for the Journey. And another, I'll just say it right now, we're planning to talk with UNO or University of Nebraska Omaha to partner with them, hopefully, and get more. One step away from C. Okay. V has it can easily call from C. It's so weird. It can also it switches from JavaScript to V too. So you can write V and it goes to JavaScript or JavaScript to
transpile.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's one of the weirdest languages. If you want to go to the website, it'll have better information.
Is there a web framework for it yet?
Yeah, there is.
They're writing.
It's like I think it's built into the language too. It's not like a library.
It's crazy.
Oh,
But yeah, you can see
shit.
the pre-built package is a megabyte for an entire language, and it's pretty fully featured. There's not a whole ton of like libraries and whatnot built into it yet, but like even their just homepage kind of goes into how things work. Like, hey, look at that! For Swift, you need 70 gigs, and it takes 90 minutes to build. Okay, I don't know if that's terribly accurate. Maybe for the first build and indexing and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's the whole language.
Uh,
That's all the space
like-
required for the whole language.
Is that including like Xcode and stuff, or just the language?
No,
Oh,
just
interesting.
all the dependencies for the language.
Got it. Interesting. So, look at V if you got some free time. It's super cool. So I'm still learning IW3M. So I don't have like presentation ready for this, but what I would like to look at is high order functions. So if we just go, my typing. I guess this will be in JavaScript. So I'm very fond of using, I just want to get an example here. This guy, for example. So some of the common high order functions are, so normally when you want to like, let's say I want to filter an array down. Normally I'd for each through the array or the list and remove an item from it if it doesn't fit my criteria. Well, in this case, I could do like the name of my array dot for each and then give it some condition, or dot filter and then give it some condition, and it will kind of automatically do that for each for you. So it's kind of condensed language, and then you can combine these, right? So you could do once I filter it, let's map through it, and let's say if I'm mapping from the alphabet to numbers, like A would be 1, B would be 2, and so whatnot. You would filter it down to like get rid of like periods and dashes and whatnot, and then you would map and transform it into numbers, and then maybe you add them all together so that you find like the value of the string or whatnot. So you can do that in 3 simple commands. You just do filter, map, and then sum, and that would look very simple. So I'm gonna go through a kata in C# real quick. So a kata is a Japanese term for some sort of training exercise. They're most commonly used in martial arts, I believe, but they translate well into programming because a common thing that you want to learn in programming is just any small facet of whatever language you're working with and learning how to build the correct algorithm and data structure for the applicable thing that you're trying to do. The language that I'm most comfortable with is C#, so I'm going to go ahead and do that one. If you want to do it in like JavaScript or something because you'd like to do that, we can look at that as well. But we'll go ahead and do this in C# real quick just because I can show you how it works super quick.
Yeah.
So the goal of this, right, is you're going to be given a string and you want to find the number of duplicate letters. So if we have AAA, we only have one duplicate letter. A is a duplicate letter. Where if we have like A, B, C, D, E, there's no duplicates. A, B, B, C, D, E, you have 2 duplicates, and so on, right? So like if you have more than one duplicate of the same letter, you only count it once, right? So the way Code Wars, or the website that allows you to do katas, works is that it gives you the instructions. When you run it, there will be an output window that will kind of show you what happens when you hit run. There is a online IDE that will allow you to code in it, and then there's sample tests in the bottom that will kind of show you what they're going to run when you hit the attempt button. So for example, you can see they pass in, you want to check if the blank string is equal to 0, you want to check if A, B, C, D, E is equal to 0, and so on and so on and so on.
Yeah.
So the most simple way I can think of to do this would be to just loop through the string, keep track of the numbers that I've seen before. If I've seen it before, add it to a new list of things that are duplicated, and then count the number of things in that duplicate list later on. But, if I hit A 3 times, I only put A in there once. I want to make sure that, I don't put it in there multiple times. So we'll just go ahead and do this the dumb way, the naive way. I don't want to say naive. What feels to me the unclean way, or the most simplistic. So we're going to need, I'm going to use lists here. So we will use a list of char, or just characters that are inside the string, and we'll call this characters seen. So this will be a list of all the characters that we've seen. And then we want a list of characters that is the duplicates. am not used to this keyboard, Zach.
Yeah, takes a bit.
Okay, and then we want to have some way to return the duplicate count. So we'll say int duplicate count, and we'll set it equal to 0. And then at the end, we know we're going to return this duplicate count at some point. Okay, so what we need to do is loop through all of our characters and check for the ones that we've seen. So in C#, they have this handy-dandy syntax called for each. Lots of languages have it. And then, since it's a string, it will automatically know that I can loop through a string of characters. So this just says, for each character in this string, we're going to look at that specific character, and it'll automatically convert it to the character data type. Okay, so for each one of the characters, we want to check if it's in the character scene list, and it's not in the duplicates list. We want to add one to the count. So if, okay, I don't want to type this out. I'm gonna copy paste. If character scene, if it does contain our character, and the duplicates doesn't contain our character, and working on this sideways on this massive screen is disorienting. Then what we want to do is add it to, well, first off we want to add 1 to the duplicate count, and then we want to add it to the duplicates list. And then when we're done looping through this, let's say we haven't seen it, then we want to add it to our characters that we're seeing, right? And then C# doesn't default know what a list is because, they got to be difficult. So I got to do a little import here, if I remember the correct spelling and whatnot. Hopefully that works. I forgot a parenthesis right here. I think I can do Control-R to run. Nope, that's refresh. Whoops. Of course it didn't save. C does not exist in the... Oh. You see, I did this earlier and named character C. My bad. Aha, so it tests some random tests, but the first one, it should ignore the case, right? We don't care if it's upper or lowercase a. So what we're going to do is as soon as we see the character, we're just going to turn it to lowercase. We could turn it to uppercase, it doesn't matter. So we're going to say character, we'll call it, so that we don't have to replace everything later there, we'll call it, naming. I'll call it lower character, and then we'll replace it. And C# has this handy function for characters called toLower. And then we'll go in and we'll replace all the C's. And we want to make sure to add the lowercase character. We only want to deal with that lowercase character. That way we know, we're checking the right thing. That was an awful explanation. When we check the list, if we haven't converted it to lower yet, and we're comparing a higher or an uppercase to it, they won't match. It won't find it correctly. No overload method to lower. Oh, it's the other way around. It's character, the data type to lower, and pass in the.
I think that's how it is for JavaScript too.
Okay, all of our tests passed. They took 2.4 seconds, which to me seems like a long time. Also, this code seems like there's just too much crap going on. We have 22 lines to do what to me seems like a simple task. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna rewrite this, and we're gonna do it as Zach would sometimes say, in a Swifty way, because he likes Swift. So we're going to look at higher order functions and how they can be used. So in my eyes, what I want to do is I want to turn all the characters to lowercase, group them by their common ones, and then count how many are in each one of those groups. Does that make sense? So if I'm doing this at a high level, I'm doing this all in one line, so I don't have any outer variables that I'm storing things to, right? So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to do return, and then we're going to do string, and then I have to import our oops. So we're importing link, which stands for something query, language interpreted something query. Basically allows us to query an enumerator. An enumerator is just something that you can iterate over, that you can for loop over. In this case, it's a string. So if we for loop over that, it pulls out a character each time. So we want to say, we want to take this string. Wrapping your head around this on the first time is always a pain. I believe what I want to do is I want to take this to lowercase first, then group it, then count it. Let's try that. So we're going to do, they don't have like syntax highlighting, so they don't tell me what the functions that I have are. So we'll look it up. I should have remembered this on the top of my head. Ah, it's a string method. Okay, cool. To lower. This is what I was remembering. And then we want to say group by character. Okay, so this is where things are going to get a little funky, and bear with me as we go through this. So basically what this is doing is this is saying we're going to go through each and every individual character in the string, and we're going to return a character. We're just going to group it by that type of thing. So like if this was an object, like a person, we could group by like person.age or something like that.
Yeah. So that's an arrow function.
Yep, it's just an arrow function. Or as some languages call them lambdas, some call them closures. It just depends on the language that you're using. And I don't remember if it's in parentheses or curly brackets. I can never remember the syntax. This is why we have IDEs, because I don't have to remember these things. So then what we do is we count the groups as they go to the count of the group, and this is going to be super funky. And if I remember correctly, this is how it works. Otherwise, we can go look at the solution because I can't remember off the top of my head, and I don't want to waste too much time. All right, we're going to cheat. We can go look at the solutions. Since we already solved this, I'm not too worried about it. And I'm going to copy it over, and then we can discuss it. It was where the count is greater than 1, then count it. I got close. So we'll go back. So if we just go ahead and run this to prove that it works. I copied over something wrong, didn't I? String does not contain a definition for group by. Me forgetting to import. There we go. Okay, so notice the runtime is actually a hair longer, which is kind of expected, because usually what happens is when you're working with like system level classes, they have all sorts of bloat to them. The nice part about these, in some languages like Java, you can use these type of functions with streams, which will basically allow you to multi-thread them. So basically, like for each group of characters, I can go do the counting on separate threads and then pull them all together for like the total count. Don't quote me on that like specific use case, but that is a nicety of this type of syntax is that you can do it multi-threaded. So if I'm going to go ahead and explain how this works, we grab the string, we turn it into lowercase, we group each character, they just use C. You can change that to whatever variable name you want. And then we say, now that they're grouped by character, so then for example, we'd have a group with AA, we want to check that the number of things, the count of the things in that group is greater than 1, right? So if we have A, B, C, D, E, all of the counts are going to be equal to 1 in each of the group, and there's going to be 5 groups, one with A, one with B, one with C, one with, yeah, so on. And then, now that we where basically says, I want to select the ones where this thing is true, right? So we selected all the groups where the count is greater than 1, or meaning there's duplicates, and then we count the number of those groups. So basically, we took the large function where we had for each loops and we're storing extra variables and whatnot, and we reduced it to a one-line function. The one thing I would do to make this cleaner is do it multi-line. Yep, exactly. And the reason that I would do this, you obviously know what's going on here, but the reason that I would do this, for those that are unaware, is that this is kind of like reading a sentence almost. It's more like reading English. I'm going to turn to lowercase, then I'm going to do this thing on the next line, then I'm going to do this thing. It just makes it a little more appealing to the eye, quicker to understand if you're coming into it with fresh eyes and not getting the explanation that you're getting right now. So this is just one example. So what we could do is we could go look at other examples and try and do the same thing. Or we could go look at like the JavaScript documentation and see if they have something similar and play with that as well. But this is kind of like the end of the formal talk. I just wanted to let people know that these are a thing, that they're cool, they can be faster, and I believe once you understand the core of them, that they're cleaner code to write. So the end of the talk, we can either do more katas together and kind of keep doing the same thing, or we can do a workshop where we can kind of, if you brought your computer or whatnot, we can kind of just sit down and work on these together in different languages and whatnot and see what we come up with. How's on call going?
Going good. Stats aren't importing right.
No! I burned through that quick, didn't I? So yeah, the tentative end time was 8, but that's in like an hour and 15 minutes. So if you have to go or do something, feel free. That's kind of like the end of the what we wanted to get done. I'm going to check the stream and see if anybody has any questions. Of course they don't. I blame myself for not putting out a notification that we were starting early. That's my bad. People are going to hop on at 7 and be like, what's the stream doing right now? I don't understand.
Till then.
What's that? We should have to last till 7? It's 7:01. We're like, all right, bye, guys. Nope, Alt. Yeah.
Is there a Wi-Fi password or something, or is it?
I'm gonna refer you to Zach over here. Wi-Fi?
It's over there.
Oh, is that the one that he can use? I didn't know if that was public or not. Try this one. Oh no, is the stream down? 6:23. It does not appear so. Well, that's unfortunate. Looks like the stream had some technical issues.
Yeah, no, I had to quit recording on my phone.
No!
I told you I was on call, so...
Does this automatically record? I can't see with
No,
the...
it doesn't automatically record.
This is what we get for trying something new.
What are you talking about? This isn't new.
That's okay. It worked out great. No problems here. You know what? They said the stream cut out at like 6:23, which is near the time we were doing the announcement. Ruh-roh, Raggy. Did you get into the Wi-Fi?
It's
Not behaving?
not quite.
If it's not that, I can give you the secure one.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
Stream's working.
Fine now.
Okay, cool.
Weird.
How much
Probably
did...
because we're on Wi-Fi.
Yeah. How much did you miss? Question mark. So I'm going to go poke around for a new kata for us to do that is available in JavaScript.
How many languages does it have?
Metric ton. Basically, once somebody makes the kata, if you want to make it like usable in another language, I don't know how it's done, but they can do it. I know there's like requests that say if you want to do it in any language, here's the code. Basically, what I'm assuming is you just have to insert the unit tests in the correct language, and then the platform as a whole handles the language and compiling it and whatnot. Filling in an array.
Is it just W3 or WPA security for
That Zach's the one that works here.
the? Zach,
Yeah.
is it just standard like WPA authentication?
Yeah, it should be. If it's not that, I can just give you the secure one. I don't know if that one's actually up to date.
Okay.
Does that count as alt? Interesting. You get in?
I'll just. If you have the secure one.
Yeah, I have the secure one that you can use. It's just capital C client,
Okay.
and then capital R. It's gonna be a 3, and then sources with an exclamation mark at the end.
Client resource or.
Yeah, client capital C, and then
Mhm.
resources with a 3 for the E and a capital R, and then an exclamation mark at the end. Does that work?
Maybe it doesn't like my computer.
Oh, no. I feel bad now.
I will bring in, or we connected to the Wi-Fi on this one. Which one do we use? It's Alt H Enter. No, I want the Alt Shift down. Yeah, there we go. It's like NMTUI. Yeah.
Oh yeah, just.
I don't want to post their Wi-Fi stuff online.
Yeah, don't worry.
We're
about it.
connected. It doesn't even tell us which one we're connected. I'm awful at using this UI. Sorry.
Don't worry about
If you want, though, we can do a JavaScript one.
it. Sure.
This one is in JavaScript, and it seems about as easy as it could possibly get. We fill an array with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever they send us.
Oh.
It's like that easy. This should just get us like the easiest function of like 4 each, and then fill in the array. So we get the just once. It doesn't even pass in a function. Never mind. I give up. I don't want it. Too easy. So you can pick a difficulty level. 8 is like painfully easy, so we'll go to 7, because that's like just enough that they want from you that you can, do something cool with it. And then we'll sort by most completed. Gym bike calorie calculator. That's so cool. That seems like too much to read.
Oh, it worked. The public one worked now. I just
Oh, sweet.
had to restart.
Weird.
Yeah.
Trying to find one without a ton of reading so that people that are watching don't have
Yeah.
to.
I think what it might have been is I probably have Docker running, and it tends to the Docker.
It messes with network.
Bridge can
Yeah.
sometimes mess with it. Yeah. Oh, they have PHP. That's good.
Yeah, they even have like Ruby, Rust. They have Swift, which Zach likes. All that jazz. I don't see an easy way to do this one with high order functions. Move the SVG. Oh, that's a 4. So I will have you know that if you complete a 1Q, you're a master. And you also spend a lot of time on it.
Those are ridiculous.
Yeah, hold on. I want to pull up a 1Q just to show you, like, how
Yeah, I was gonna say it's gonna be some profanity, but
Yeah.
it's gonna be an interpreter or transpiler or base encoding or Tetris.
Oh my goodness.
What a-
Given a sequence of gem pairs and movement instructions, it will turn the ending game state. So you're basically playing, what is it, Candy Crush? That's what it looks like. Or Bejeweled, I think that was the older one. So this is why I liked to have one looked up before I came, so that way I don't waste you guys' time. Zach, I'm confused. I selected 7, but it does not, in fact, want to pick
You
7.
can select 7 unless it's highlighted.
It's highlighted.
Boom.
It doesn't like me.
Anything that has been 7 is still 7. and
Oh,
you
like they'll
rank
change
that
the... Okay. I didn't know it could change
That's
the rank.
what I assume.
That would make sense.
Still on call.
Sorry.
No problem. Just waiting for the stats issue to be fixed.
Missing values. You're given an array of positive ints. Okay, so our goal is to find... This one seems fairly easy. Is there a... I'm going to do it in C# just to prove the concept.
Oh, this is a really dumb
Which one?
one. This is for JavaScript, I think. Or I guess it's for any language, but the problem, it's a 7Q
Q?
one, called How Many Urinals Are Free? And it's,
Array of like zeros and ones or something?
you have to figure out, a string containing ones and zeros. A 1 stands for urinal taken and 0 for a free one.
Well, that seems easy, because then you can just do filter it where they're equal to 0, and then count however many are left.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to type in urinal and see what I get. Please don't put any profanity, Mr. Code Wars. How many urinals are free? I like how they even made an image for it. Oh, they give you a string. Oh, I'm clicking on things. Alright, they give you a string between 1 and 20. Maximum number of free urinals.
Yeah.
Okay, that was...
So, yeah, it said, like, for an example, if there's...
Okay, so you could split... So you could treat it like a string with spaces in it and split it around the spaces, and then count whichever one of those split strings has the longest length.
Oh, yeah.
So if I were to do it with higher order functions, I'd do... C# has a split method. I don't know how it would work. It's a string, right? Yeah. So you can choose what you want to split it by. So in this case, we'll split it by 1s because that's what you don't want.
Yeah.
And then you'll order it by the count, and then you'll just pick the last one. That makes sense?
Yeah.
I don't know how that works in JavaScript. I haven't done it in JavaScript, but I'm gonna try it in C#.
I'm going to try it in PHP.
So the string is called urinals. Urinals dot Alright, I gotta Google. I don't have an IDE on my side. I just need a list of them. Nope. Not a list. Control. Windows. The other alt. Nope. Hotkeys are all jankety. Man, what? Who designs a website like this with all these links on the side?
Oh, yeah.
Why? I'm not going to look through those. I just want the list of them. I like how they call it functional. If I was to look this up property, I believe it would be link. Yeah. Language integrated query. So they can even do it where it looks kind of like Java SQL. If I use link, so I didn't have to do like the dot where. I could do this type of syntax, or you can say like from here and here. Let's try that. I've never used that before. That's curious. Control Shift Alt right. Control Alt H Enter. Nope. Can I bring this guy over to this window though? Yes. Aha. So we have an array of the things. We need to turn it into an enumerable events. And an enumerable is just something that we can iterate over, which is like the parent of an array. We'll just call it query. And we'll say from our value in our where on the other one. We can still do it with this guy. Group by. Oh man, I don't know the syntax. The glare, I can't see. Oh, where? I just need a list of all the operations. Standard query operators. Haha, cool. Okay, so we need grouping first. Group by. So group dot 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 by. So group. This is a keyword in C#. By value, since it's an array, int. Let's just I go back. Nope, too far. Oh, and then it just loops through them because it's an enumerable. That is not, in fact, what we want. Okay, let's try this. Let's try this the dumb way. We use a dictionary of integer to integer, and we'll call it value to count. Yeah, we'll call it that. So I've come to find that I always write it in the normal syntax or the simple way, and then end up overwriting the code in the more complex way. So for each one of the values, if value to count dot is a get. If it has something, then the value to count at this value, add 1 to it. And then when we're done, we want to find which one has 2 and which one has 3. So we could just do like value to count where x goes to x dot value equal to 2. But that will return a list of things, not 1. So we have to do, or that's going to return an enumerable, so we have to turn it to a list and then get the 0th element, which is an awful syntax. So personally, I typically don't try and do these things on the website itself. I tend to do it in my IDE of choice, so I get the syntax highlighting, IntelliSense, all that jazz. So I'm going to be beating my head against the wall up here on this, because who remembers how all this stuff works at the same time? You do. Yeah, I know you do.
You just need a terminal, as long as you can run it without using their service.
That's true. But yeah, C# on the terminal. Woo! I guess we could get like .NET Core, CLI. I'll probably have to do like a whole YouTube video on this with prepared code and Visual Studio open.
Which one is this one?
Loop through an array, find the things where like all of them are gonna have 3 instances of it. Find the one that has 2 instances and 1 instance and multiply them together.
Oh.
Super easy. I was gonna try and do it a simple way, and then a little bit more complex way, and then I ended up doing it too difficult and not remembering the syntax. I don't even think this is right for dictionary. Try to get the value, which means we're going to have to wrap it in if block, which means it gets ugly. No, I clicked wrong one. I blame myself for using poor hotkeys. Okay, so we can do just going to completely switch to a different one. So we want to split it by 1, which will give us an array of strings. We'll just call it split strings. And then we just want to figure out which one of them has the longest. So we just do like, okay, if we're doing it the dumb way, let's just make sure our method works. For each split in our split strings, and I gotta declare the type. For each one of them, if split dot, what is it for strings? Length, size, count? It's greater than longest. Set that to the new length. And then return the longest. And I more than likely mess something up. Ah, yes. Beautiful output, letting me know exactly what happened. Do I think we can do console output. Oop, not if I don't put a semicolon. Ah. So if you do any sort of like logging, it'll give you a log like for each one of the tests that runs. So let's print out the thing itself. And then let's print it. We'll just run it and see what they give us. Okay, so the longest should be 13. So if we split around this, let's debug. So if we split around ones, we should have a length of... Oh, it expects -1. Did I read the instructions wrong? When there is already a mistake in the input string. Oh. If there's anyone's touching, we return -1. So if the string length is... Let's go look up how C# split works. So you split around spaces, it'll give you the individual ones. Okay, so let's do this. Let's output each individual one, because what I'm expecting we need to do is say if split dot length is 0, return -1. Haha, typos. So this is what it gave us. This is the first split. This is the second split. Expected 4? Oh, because they need to be every other. Oh my goodness. Divided by 2. Then add 1 if it's odd. If the longest if it's odd, then add 1. And before that, we'll divide it by 2. Start with 0. Should have given us 1. I feel like this is almost like recursion. I need a base case.
Doing it with PHP, it looks like most of theirs are just nested function calls around function calls rather than like closures or the arrow functions.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Which effectively does the same thing, just
Yeah.
different syntax.
Yeah.
Alright. Being a lazy pile. If they're next to each other, give -1. Otherwise, do some complicated regex and count it. Why couldn't I have thought of that?
Yeah, no, the one-liner.
The one-liners are insane. This is why I love doing these katas. I always like spend too much time on it. It's like, oh, it was that.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of what solution you have, once you solve one, like, it's so beneficial. Even to look at like the dumb ones like that, where
Yeah.
it took like super long, it just helps to kind of think of what other people are doing.
Yeah.
Because I think I'll do something really clever, and then one person's like, no, you can reduce half the lines, and it's crazy.
No, it kind of goes back to like your Java 1 or 2 class. Like,
Yeah.
When you'd like, I would always like way overcomplicate it and then I'd like go to the times that I'd go to the like teacher to ask for like his advice on it. He'd always be like, try going in this direction, and I'd be like, oh, I completely
Overthink it.
Yeah.
Yep.
You don't need 50 array lists to try to, like,
I was helping a buddy the other day, and he was doing this app. I'm not going to be any more specific because I don't want to shame, but he did the most beginner thing that was super hilarious. It was like a switch statement where he did the same logic in every case rather than like pulling it out, and then in the switch statements he'd do like a switch statement inside of that, and it was probably 1,600 lines long of him like copy pasting and writing it all out, and I was just like, write it into a function.
No, I remember when I did that.
Yep, I remember, and it was I'm not proud of those days.
I remember when nested ifs.
Oh yeah.
Didn't seem like that was a bad idea.
It worked, right?
Yeah.
There was no better idea at the time. Dude, I don't even know what this regex is saying. And they have this @ sign thing, and I'm assuming that's so that it automatically escapes the parentheses, maybe?
I don't know, man. You know C#. Like the magic symbols.
Oh wait, was that your
Solution?
with
Ha!
the regex?
Me that smart? Not a chance. This one makes way more sense.
Oh, jeez.
You do 0, 1, 0, or 1, 0, or 0, 1, give it a 1.
Yeah.
And then replace 0, 0s with 0. And then replace 1s with nothing.
I
And
don't
then-
use regex that much, but like
Me
I
either.
took this one web development class, even though I like already had worked as a web developer for a while. Like I took this like basic web development class, and there was a whole section on regex, and it was actually kind of like useful to because I'd never thought of like how much power you can do in single lines with
Yeah.
regex.
And like there's a lot of complicated like wild strings, and like I use it a lot for like bash or shell scripting.
Yeah.
That's where I've found regex the most commonly used, or like searching using grep and whatnot. But things like this, I don't know if it makes it cleaner or more hard to decipher what's going on, you know?
Yeah, you almost at a certain point in trying to simplify the code, you actually make it more dense.
Because in like the longer examples, I can just kind of brute force and read through this and understand it. Whereas in these guys, I'm going to have to go Google, like there's no way I'm just going to know what these do off the top of my head. I'm going to have to go Google them. And even if I wrote this code and come back a month later, odds that I remember every symbol are probably going to be pretty low.
Yeah. No, I always, every time I have to do anything with regex, if besides really basic stuff, I have to go look up, like, what's that keyword, what's that symbol do
Yep.
again? Like,
They're always the same symbols, like caret, star, dot.
yeah.
They mean different things in different languages. Like sometimes dot means like anything, and sometimes star means anything.
Or, yeah, the one I've seen the most is like, dot means everything. Oh, no, I think it's dot
Means
is
one character.
one character, and star is 0 or
More, yeah.
characters.
Or dot.
Or
It's
maybe-
always dot star. I don't remember which one is what. It's like any character and then any like 0 or 1 of any character. Is like the most common thing.
Oh, dot plus is it's dot plus or dot star sometimes do. Yeah, I think dot or dot plus
Is 1 or more.
is 1 or more.
Yeah.
And star is 0 or
Yep.
more. Yeah.
But anyways, we kind of hit on what I was getting at here. It gets more complicated as it goes on, but if you know what's going on, you can take a 40-line function and just smash it into one. And I personally, I would rather go look up this like 2 or 3 syntax than probably read through that much.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not like it's a similar. It would be a similar amount of code if there weren't all of the if and brackets, I guess.
Yeah.
Because really, it's just like taking this entire thing and putting it into like a ternary statement, I guess.
Yeah. The further up you go, the more like
Clean.
the cleaner it gets.
Yeah.
The more like if you were to use that in like a Java 1 assignment, your teacher would be like, "All right, you definitely looked."
Yeah, there's no way you did this on your own.
Yeah.
Well, we hit 7 o'clock. I'm going to go check the stream and see if there's any questions. There's not. Anything else you want to add to the stream, Zach?
I'm on call.
Okay. Well, I'd say this was, it went well. I'm sad that the stream got interrupted in the middle, so we may have to make a separate video because apparently it interrupted in the middle of the announcement. So we'll have to speak to that announcement again. I'll go rewatch through the stream and see what goofed up. But for now, that's all we got.